Well, I don't know what to say to that.
It's okay.
My dad used to kick my ass regularly, still does to this day.
Yes. This is the Schmo with the Pro, the Hall of Famer, poolside, at his home, Michael the Count Bisping. How we doing?
I'm doing good, Schmo. I'm doing good. In fact, I was just trying to relax, trying to just put my feet up. It's been a very stressful day, and then I get a knock on the door, and it's yourself. I mean, come on, man. Get 5 minutes peace.
Hey, we're in lockdown right now. The Schmo's trying to get his tan on. We know you got a pool. You turn on the waterfall for us. It's a great day.
It's a great day, my friend. And to be honest, what is it you say? Mi casa, su casa. My house is your house. There you go, Schmo. You're welcome anytime, buddy. Open invitation. Day or night.
Yes.
Sundays.
Yes.
Any day.
Yes, that guest bedroom is turned into the Schmo room for the next 2 weeks. Don't tell anybody. Now talk to me for a second. We saw you last week in Jacksonville. You were calling some great fights. Favorite moment from Jacksonville that you can reflect on right now?
Ooh, favorite moment from Jacksonville. Okay, hold on. There was a lot. There was a lot of great fights last week. Just want to say a big shout out to the UFC #1, but the fighters, because they all brought it. It all delivered. Every single fight. There wasn't a single bad fight. Some amazing fights. I mean, the Nate Landwehr versus Darren Elkins. That was an absolute bloodbath. Those guys have my respect. Smith versus Teixeira. Again, what an epic fight. And Walt Harris. The strength that man showed, the strength of character to go what he went through, but to be able to still, compose himself like that and go through a training camp. I mean, it's just mind-blowing what he achieved. So, too many good moments to single it down to one, unfortunately.
A very great broadcasting answer right there.
There you go.
A lot of headways are going on in the news right now about John Bones Jones against Francis Ngannou. We're talking about a super fight, but it seems like there's been a squadouche to that kind of momentum on the monetary side of things. John Jones thinking there's not going to be enough money for him in a super fight with Francis Ngannou. What's your overall thoughts about that in terms of the payment structure and what's going to get that fight done? Are we going to see it?
Oh, well, listen, first of all, as a fan, of course I want to see that fight. Everybody wants to see that. Ngannou is just an absolutely terrifying human being. John Jones, if it wasn't for the steroid thing, he'd be the greatest of all time. Right? If he can go up to heavyweight, beat a guy like Ngannou, and potentially claim the heavyweight belt, I think that would solidify him as the greatest of all time. So I think
So who is the greatest of all time? Because they're putting an asterisk because of the steroid situation. Who would it be to you?
Yeah, well, it always comes down to either George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva, John Jones, even Daniel Cormier is in there as well. But I got to go with George St. Pierre right now. If it wasn't for the asterisk, because of the whatever you call it, steroids, picograms, whatever, it is there. It does exist. If it wasn't for that, it would be John, because he is undefeated. But that asterisk is there, unfortunately. So as I say, if he was to go up to another weight class and do some damage up there and become champion, that would mitigate those asterisks, if you will. So there you go. What a long-winded, shitty, boring answer. I apologise. But I want to see that fight. I would love to see Jones versus Ngannou. That would be amazing.
But the money's getting in the way of the situation. I don't know if it's because you can't put an interim in front of it. You don't want to do that because you're still going to wait for the Stipe DC trilogy fight.
Yep.
I don't know what the answer is, pay-per-view points, but it seems like money's getting in the way of that super fight between both those fighters.
Yeah, well, listen, I did see Jones came out and said, the UFC said, well, you'll make more money in pay-per-view points. And that is generally how it goes. Now, of course, he's looking for more money guaranteed up front. I don't know what's on his contract. I don't know when he signed his contract. But generally, if you sign a contract, I'm not being an overly company man, but if you sign a contract and say, I'll fight these many times, and it's you that desires to fight Ngannou. It's not like the UFC came to him, So, and listen, it's a massive fight. That would be a huge fight. I don't know if it would do 1 million pay-per-view buys, but it would do a lot, and everybody would get paid. So, just take the goddamn fight. Let's do it. I want to see it as a fan.
Now talk to me about something else for a second here. Kelvin Gastelum, I guess this is multiple times he's tested positive for marijuana, and he's suspended through USADA, but there's so many fighters that smoke marijuana. You got the Sean O'Malley's, you got Brian Keller smoking a bong, but why is Kelvin Gastelum suspended? What's going on with the USADA stuff? How does that make sense?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, unfortunately, in this day and age. I think everybody knows it's certainly not performance enhancing. It's pretty much legal federally across, well, it's not federally, it's state by state, but all over the world, we're seeing a definite change that it's not it's not a bad drug. And for him to be suspended, I mean, how long did he get?
I think it was at least 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I really feel for him there. Unfortunately, and again, I'm going to do this. Unfortunately, when you go and fight somewhere, you know the stipulations, you know the regulations, the rules that they have in place. So when you agree to fight somewhere, you agree to fight under their stipulations. And I guess, I'm just looking at it from both sides, playing devil's advocate. If it says there you cannot smoke marijuana, and you say, yeah, I'm going to fight there, and then you smoke marijuana and get suspended, yes, I have sympathy. I don't think it should have happened. But did he break a rule that was in a contract? I guess you could make that argument.
It makes it so complicated that all the different athletic commissions, they vary state by state. If you're a fighter, that's got to drive you kind of crazy. How do you stay on top of the laws in each individual state and the rules and regulations?
Yeah, well, it's definitely tough, but if you got a good manager, they'll definitely make you aware of those things, right? It's certain states, it's different rules. Some states adopt the new rules, some states adopt the old rules, right? So it's up to you as an individual and a fighter. It's also up to the promotion and the referees and all the officials involved to make sure that the fighter is aware. But listen, ultimately, and I like Kelvin, he's a great guy, he's a tremendous fighter, and as a fan I want to see him back in there ASAP. But if you break a rule, regardless of how stupid that rule is, and I do think it's a ridiculous rule, and I say he should not be suspended, but he broke a rule. I'm not saying that's right, but I'm saying, I kind of understand it.
He's a company man, Michael Bisping.
No, not a company man. There's nothing to do with the UFC. The UFC don't fucking stipulate that. The UFC don't say you can't smoke marijuana.
Well, you follow the rules.
Well, if Vegas say you can't smoke marijuana, but you choose to smoke marijuana,
it's on you.
I don't know what to tell you. That's on you. Listen, I think it's a stupid rule. Absolutely I do. But it is on the person in question.
Let's talk about the big money maker in the UFC, Conor McGregor. The last time we saw him in the octagon, you were calling that fight. It was against Cowboy Cerrone. Now that we just saw Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, what makes sense for Conor McGregor?
Yeah, so we got Justin probably going to take on Khabib, right? So then I think the writing's already on the wall. We see UFC, they're putting it out there. They're releasing the first Nate Diaz fight versus Conor McGregor. That's a free fight. It's doing the rounds right now. Why are they releasing that? Well, of course, because it shows the first fight Diaz won. The second fight, everybody knows McGregor won. So it creates that thirst for a rubber match. And to be honest, anytime you get a situation, especially with big draws like McGregor and Diaz, and they both win one each, you want to see the third one. Just like Stipe and DC, right? Anytime there's a rubber match situation, it makes sense to do that. The fans would love it. It'd be a big money maker for the fighters and for the promotion. So I don't see why that doesn't make sense. We'll see, though. I mean, there's Masvidal potentially out there as well. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Well said. And you got your next time you're calling fights. It's going to be in the UFC Apex. How are you preparing for that, Mr. Bisping?
How am I preparing? Well, typically we get the fight card and then we start doing research. But as of right now, it's all kind of last minute. We got the main event. We got a few other fights on there. But yeah, same thing. Sit down, look at Fight Pass, look at old fights, go on their Instagram, look at the Schmo, look at the Schmo's interviews and see what nuggets you can get out of them. I mean, I love commentating for the UFC, but there is a lot of research involved, so... And it is challenging, for a guy like me. I was never the most studious person, believe it or not. That's a shock. I know that's going to shock you, but I didn't study at school too well. But with the commentaries, a lot of research. You got to know the fighters inside out. And when there's 26 or 28 fighters on a fight card, it's a lot of work.
Final message for all the Michael Bisping fans out there worldwide.
Oh, final message. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm not that deep. I'm not that profound. I just do my thing, Final message. This ain't no final message. You're going to be hearing from me next week. There'll be a message there. There's always a message, Schmo. What's your final message? Let me put you on the spot.
Stay cool. Stay calm.
Stay safe. We're all in this together.
Believe. Achieve.
Conceive. Believe.
And achieve. He's the pro. I'm the Schmo. He's not sweating too much in his all-black attire. Poolside, I'm going for a dip. Don't push me. We're out. The greatest one-eyed fighter in the history of the UFC, probably in the history of all of mixed martial arts,